You know, I can't tell if it's pretty or if it's outdated, but it's the last one, and apparently they're not making any more. So it's been 2 years now since the NSX has now ended its production with the final NSX Type S. So originally, when they said they were going to build a better NSX, they said they would give us more performance, a few extra tweaks, and then they gave us this, which was an interesting car. And so today on Exotic Car Hacks, we're going to be talking about the new NSX Type S, why I specifically bought one, why I believe in these cars, and what specifically I like or hate about it, because I've spent about 150 miles driving it. I'm gonna give you my first time impressions, and then I'll drive it a little bit more and give you some real long-term depth. I always say it's very difficult when you review cars from just a test drive. Much easier to review them as it pertains to actually driving them, because as an owner of these cars and as a person that buys and owns all my cars instead of just review them, it makes it much easier for me to kind of live with something and tell you, is it worth living with or not? This is something you don't see with a lot of reviews on the internet, because people obviously can have a very good opinion of a car driving up and down a mountain, but it's very hard to see what are the quirks and the annoying parts about it over time. I mean, every reviewer has praised the Huracans, the GT3 RSs, etc., and I do the exact opposite, calling the Huracans one of the worst interfaces in human history as it pertains to an actual infotainment. So let's look at the Type S briefly from an exterior standpoint first. Some very minor tweaks for those of you that aren't familiar with these cars. I did a review of a 2017 NSX that I owned back in the day. I had it for a year. I thought it was a very innovative and exciting car. This was a time for me when I was a lot less wealthy as it pertained to cars, so I only had 4 or 5 cars in my collection at the time. And back then I thought the NSX was a very interesting product. It was a better looking product than an R8 in my opinion, and just drove in a very usable manner. What was wrong about it? Well, it just didn't hold a badge and it just didn't do it. But yet its design in my opinion was iconic, and it was a pretty exciting car for its time. Fast forward 5 years later, is the Type S an iconic car? So let's talk about some of the subtle differences that the Type S brings versus the non-Type S. Wider wheels, okay, not a big deal. Design of the wheels, semi-average compared to the old one. Better front fascia, definitely. Lots of carbon. If you get the carbon option, of course, looks much nicer. You carry on to the side, not much has changed. Really the same old NSX, same spoiler, same roof, same side skirt. Rear, significant difference in the diffuser. Sure, much better looking rear end. Super exciting? Not really. Subtle changes that I don't think make a significant difference. And then Type S badging on the side, which is obviously a sticker. So in design, basically it's boring as shit. It hasn't really changed. On the interior, on the lower console, and of course the seats having this extra different color, whatever, nothing really either. So again, you're not getting much more on the Type S either from a design or aesthetic standpoint. Now you're getting 350 cars built, which is somewhat of a more exciting collectible, but in design you're really just getting a front and rear bumper and a set of wheels, which I don't know if that warrants the extra premium. But here's the thing, the Type S actually doesn't cost more than the non-Type S. This car had a 185K sticker. My old NSX had a 205K sticker. This came out 5 years later, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Why would a Type S better model not cost more? Now I'm not going to blame Acura for not raising their prices on their Type S, but this shows you the sportsmanship of the company, really focused on putting out a final product for its base rather than trying to hound some extra money from a special edition, because it actually cost 20K less than my fully loaded 2017, which I thought was very interesting. Now with the premiums on these cars, you're obviously paying 50 to 70K over sticker, which again is astronomically larger, like a normal one which can be bought 50K under sticker. So on the used market, you're comparing a 250 to 300K car down to a 130K car. So you would say $100,000 difference is pretty significant, and I don't think the Type S will warrant that from a longevity standpoint as far as value. But the car itself, there's really no difference between this car and a base NSX from a design standpoint, and I don't think you're getting 100K of a better product from what you can buy. Now here, I collect exotic cars, so it's a little different. You'll see here, I have a Spa Yellow NSX. This is a 2005 final edition. This is the closest thing to the Indigo Yellow that these things come in, which is very similar, paying homage to that. I think it's almost the same paint, they just call it something different. And the argument has always been, well, why would you pay over on an NSX? Is it really worth it? It's really not, but let's look at collectively what we've seen in the market. Those cars are trending over 200K, continuously bringing over 200K on BAT, which is very interesting because these cars are bringing over 200K on BAT and people aren't pulling triggers. So people know that these are not $250,000 cars, which means what do these become in their final year? The final year best variation of that is $250,000. What will this go to? If this is a $250,000, will this be a 400K or 500K car down the road? Will it be a 350K car? That is the ultimate question. We are betting on that. So let's talk a little bit about this spec specifically and how you can buy these if you're looking to buy, because there's a large variation. So first off, we have the yellow color, which is the rarest of rarest colors on the NSX. And secondly, we have white seats, which are two incredibly hard combos to find. Now, thirdly, we have red brakes. This is one of the most tasteful spec'd NSXs ever on the market. This was ultimately the reason I waited 7.5 months to buy this car. I had one of these on order originally, and I sold my allocation and made 60K over. As a result of selling the 60K over, I basically bought this now for 50K over, putting me in the same position except with a yellow car instead of a gray one, now that the market has stabilized a little bit and we see where these cars are. I think this is a great car to put away. I don't think it's a great car to drive. So if you've been looking to actually pick up an NSX to drive, pick up a 17, 18 NSX non-Type S for 130K. That'll give you a lot more joy, and it'll be a lot more enjoyable of a car rather than spending $250,000 on a Type S. This has been my initial primary review of the NSX Type S. It's just not worth the money from a driver standpoint. Certainly will be worth the money. We'll see from a collector standpoint, but from a driver standpoint, this just ain't it. I would definitely say that there are better cars for the money at a quarter, not so much a regular NSX at 130. If you want to see more honest reviews like this, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Let me know what you think of my new NSX Type S in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to learn how to drive exotic cars for free, you can always click the link in the description and I will teach you absolutely free. Again, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in another video for Exotic Car Hacks.